A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we are going to review what we've already done so far, and so let's see what we've understood. We need to anticipate what our enemy Shaitan is doing so we can be prepared. And since Shaitan is a hidden enemy, we have to be careful. We try very hard to protect our blessings, but we fail to protect the most precious things, which is our life, our heart, our iman, which we don't even care about protecting. We should realize that Shaitan is always with us during all stages of our life, from our birth to our youth to our death. And even when we sleep, Shaitan comes in the form of dreams and scares us, and silently puts evil thoughts of arrogance, envy within us. So we need to regard him as our enemy and protect ourselves. Intelligent is the one who is aware of Makaidal Shaitan, the entrapments of Shaitan. Shaitan is especially after the people of knowledge and the ilm seekers, the knowledge seekers, because he doesn't want them to leave his path of misguidance. And just like the soldiers protect borders, we need to take protection through azkar, before sleeping, on waking, reciting A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim before the recitation of Quran on a regular basis. In fact, we need to seek refuge before starting any good deed. We also need to know three things which are very important for us. Firstly, we need to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secondly, we need to recognize ourselves. And thirdly, most importantly, to recognize Shaitan. For these, we have to beat Shaitan, and we have to know about the tactics of Shaitan, because he knows our weaknesses very well. We blame Shaitan and we think ourselves helpless, whereas we ourselves acted upon his invitation. It was our choice, our action, and Shaitan dislikes it when we do any good deed. When we pray or we do askar, he moves back when we pray. So if we commit a sin and do two nafal as a punishment for ourselves, then we can ward Shaitan off. Then we heard that Shaitan controls us through suspicion and desires. He creates suspicions in relationships, leading to mistrust, ruining relationships, and the same is with desires. So when we get engulfed by desires, Shaitan succeeds. Then also at the time of adhan, when on hearing the adhan, Shaitan runs away, but he returns when it ends, and he creates whisperings in the heart. And when we start praying, then we don't even remember how many rak'ah we have prayed. Let's go over the main aims of Shaitan. Firstly, he tries to stop us from the remembrance of Allah. Secondly, he makes people indulge in shirk. Thirdly, he makes people commit sins. Fourthly, he creates mischief and fasad in our homes. Fifthly, he inflicts physical and mental harm to people. Thus, Shaitan is happy when he makes humans sad. To summarize his tactics and ploys, firstly, Shaitan makes wrong appear as good, making it attractive. Number 2, Shaitan makes false promises and gives false hopes. Number 3, Shaitan appears as a well-wisher in front of man, and he had sworn to Adam alayhi salam that he was their well-wisher before leading them to commit the sin. Number 4, he makes them indulge in nisyan, forgetfulness, and ghafla, ignorance. So he makes them indulge in forgetfulness and ignorance, and as a result, making them forget the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is there that a moment should do? Firstly, we need to seek refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We seek the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thirdly, abundance of zikr in such situations where Shaitan can strike. Fourthly, we obey the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regularly. Number 5, to act in opposition to one's desire. That means not to follow our desires, and to see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us instead of what we want to do. Lastly, to adopt good company. Now let's revise the introduction given about Shaitan. Firstly, we got to know that he's a jinn. Then secondly, that Iblis is khabis, he's impure, that he is created from smokeless fire, that Shaitan is disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he rejects the haqq and he forbids from the khair, the good. And we also got to know that Shaitan was a jinn, but he disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and so was cursed. And now as a result, he wants to kidnap man and bring him in his control and mislead him, ruining his life, and to take him out of the honor of the obedience to disgrace of the disobedience, and to make him ride on the ride of desires. His humiliation started when he disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and refused to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses two words in the Quran for Shaitan. The first is Aba and second is Wastakbara. That means first is he refused and secondly he was arrogant. And as a consequence, Allah's curse was on him. That means Allah removed him from his rahmah. So we need to know the enmity of Shaitan. Remember, he doesn't do anything without planning. He plans where to entrap man and then attacks. Whereas we mostly start doing things without planning. We just jump into things hastily and we are quick to get angry and to react. And we leave most good deeds or we do them in the wrong way. This is how Shaitan ensnares and entraps man. Especially the target of Shaitan is those whose iman is strong, those whose faith is strong, and those who do the work of Allah's deen. And not just them, but also those who invite others to deen. So we need to basically do three things. Number one, continue getting knowledge in which light one can avoid Shaitan. Secondly, we should not have any doubt about our faith, our iman. And thirdly, we should not follow our desires blindly. But in fact, we need to go against the desires of our nafs and see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala demands of us. Our next topic is warning and reminder. That is cautioning, being careful and reminding. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has indeed warned and cautioned all people against obeying and following Shaitan. He has clearly warned all humankind against obedience to Shaitan and following his ways. Obedience refers to following a command, while following indicates allowing oneself to be led by someone's persuasion, invitation or deceit, regardless of whether they are leading towards something good or bad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has informed them that the consequences of this are very harmful and destructive. He has made it clear to them the corruption and misguidance that Shaitan called them towards, so that those who are destined to perish may do so with a clear argument, and those who are destined to live may do so with a clear argument. Meaning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has exposed all of the traps and schemes of Shaitan to us. Now it is up to everyone to get to know about these and be cautious. Whoever is destroyed does so by their own choice and their own responsibility. And whoever wants to lead a good, conscious, worldly life has guidance available, proving that we need to get knowledge about it. We need to get to know about ourselves as well as our enemies too. One such warning from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is given in the Quran. O people, eat from what is in the earth, halal and pure, and do not follow the footsteps of Shaitan. Why? Because he is your open enemy. So here, all humankind are told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and everyone's attention has been brought to eating lawful, halal and pure food, proving that eating is man's need and necessity, which one desires and likes to eat. Man dedicates a big portion of their wealth and time and effort to obtaining food. Shaitan has knowledge about this weakness of man, that humans have a physical need for food. It is said in a hadith that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was creating Adam alayhi salam and had made his structure, Shaitan circled around him to examine him on all sides. And when he saw the empty space of the stomach, as it had not been filled as yet, Shaitan said, "It is very easy to control it, as this is where his desires would be." So Shaitan attacks man through their desire of food and drink. If seen, we being humans spend a lot of time in acquiring food, shopping for it, preparing it, eating it, enjoying it, discussing it, and then sharing it with others, and also inviting others to eat. And then the laziness that follows it leads us to missing or delaying prayers. So when taken to excess, these these behaviors favor Shaitan. This is why, to escape Shaitan's plots, we firstly need to be careful about what we eat and ensure that it is lawful, both in terms of its source, its type, and wholesomeness. Not only should it be halal, lawful, but tayyib, that is pure too. This means that the food should be wholesome and beneficial, free from anything Allah has prohibited. Notice how Shaitan tempted Adam alayhi salam through food. He invited him to eat from the forbidden fruit, the tree of eternity, and thus trapped him because of food. Thus, we need to be careful of our eating habits, our dietary choices, and our routine, and what we eat. We need to ponder about whether our ways are correct or not. Next, we come to warning and reminder about the traps of Shaitan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us in the same verse not to obey and follow Shaitan's footsteps. In what? In food, as well as every other aspect too. It means that we shouldn't indulge in whatever our hearts desire, not considering whether it is halal or not, whether it is the time to eat or not. Just because we like the taste and we don't care about the above, as well as we don't even consider our pockets too, whether we can afford it or not. Not even considering its quality, whether it is clean, hygienic, or dirty. We just go for the taste and to fulfill a craving. And this is where Shaitan often influences people, causing them to follow their cravings blindly. But those who control the heart, controls the desire, are successful. This is why in 1 month amongst the 12 months, we are disciplined about our eating, drinking. That is, in the month of Ramadan, by fasting in it, we are made stronger and more resilient. Another aspect Shaitan exploits man is by inviting man, inclining man towards evil and sin and indecency. This is also another trick of Shaitan after food. The second desire through which man sins and does wrong and indulges in haram is sexual desire. To fulfill it, people at times don't even look at haram or halal, legal, illegal, and become blind by passion. This is a significant area where Shaitan exploits human weakness, leading to all forms of immoral behavior. The term indecency encompasses not only major sins like adultery, but also any kind of vulgar, inappropriate behavior, including immodest clothing too. In the name of fashion, at times, we tend to wear clothes which by no means are according to Islamic code of dressing. We are performing salah and even performing tahajjud, but are careless about the matter of dressing up of our garments, wearing over tight or short clothes. At times, such a veil is drawn upon our intellect that we don't recognize it at all, that our satar is opening, and that there is the aspect of adornment in it, of showing off, of extravagance, furthering Shaitan's influence. We all know that when there is a sale on a branded piece of garments or expensive clothes, some people abandon ethics, even displaying rude behavior. All these start with food and desires, which attracts other evils to it and make us lose control. This progression from seeking fulfillment in one's desire to allowing Shaitan's influence to justify inappropriate action begins from the weaknesses Shaitan exploits in us, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it clear in the Quran. We also tend to talk about deen without knowledge, that is, talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without knowledge, discussing Islam or religious matters, adding to it on our own, debating and discussing, making baseless claims about what is lawful and unlawful. In conclusion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala advises that Shaitan should not divert you from the straight path and not to follow Shaitan, as Shaitan is your open enemy. Allah warns us by following him, one gets nothing except loss and regret. That is, when one goes on the evil paths of haram, sins, indecency, and eating wrongfully what is prohibited and dressing indecently, one ends up in embarrassment, regret, and loss. It also leads to fasad and probably family life being ruined, in relationships deterioration, and social interaction and marriages, consequently breaking homes, causing anxiety, restlessness, humiliation due to neglecting lawful and unlawful boundaries. Shaitan overpowers people and make them forget the zikr of Allah. They become the people of the ranks, the party of Shaitan, and bring them towards the path of loss and suffering. Meaning, heedlessness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's remembrance makes one enter the group of Shaitan and then walk the path of misguidance. So forgetting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a sign that Shaitan is influencing them. And whoever comes in the influence of Shaitan and leaves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he suffers a visible loss. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds his servants of the past incident when Shaitan put Adam alayhi salam and Eve into a test and got them removed from Jannah. Shaitan stripped them of their clothes of Jannah, which was his long-term planning of making man dishonorable, because nakedness is humiliation and garments are considered a symbol of honor and dignity and not just a physical covering. Thus we see Shaitan's plan was to make them eat from the forbidden tree and deprive them of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings, stripping them of their clothes of honor, so Shaitan would make apparent their private parts and remove the covering from them for each other. We know from Quran that Shaitan and his group can see humans where they can't see him, especially when one becomes naked and is in a vulnerable, immodest state. They become very happy to see humans naked. This too is a satanic habit, watching nudity. And if we see pornography, nude films, scant clothing have become a great trial, and so many people have become addicted to it, thus facing emotional and psychological problems because of it. Homes become affected. Pure relationships between husband and wife suffer when one of them start taking an interest in it. This is a ploy of Shaitan, through which Shaitan entraps man and exposes his private parts. What does this show us? That Shaitan initially influences those who do not believe, and then he uses them to mislead believers as well. He works directly and through others. Allah has instructed his servants to openly declare their enmity towards Shaitan. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Indeed, Shaitan is an enemy to you, so take him as an enemy. He only invites his party to be amongst the companion of the blazing fire." So this is his plan. It indicates that Shaitan's desire is to lead people to the fire. He himself burned in the fire of jealousy, and now he has a plan to take humans to the fire. We thus need to be very careful. In many places in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us against Shaitan and his plan of taking man to hell. People don't obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and gets attracted to obeying Shaitan easily. So it has been written for such people who make Shaitan their friends that they will enter hellfire, from where they will never be able to come out. Such is his enmity, his vengeance, his planning, and his real target to drag his friends, his group, into the pit of hellfire from where there is no escape. It is a serious matter. Normally, we talk about Shaitan in a non-serious manner. When a child acts mischievously, we say, "You little devil," and laugh, finding it amusing. But this is not a joke, but something very serious, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has warned us against him. So how can we take lightly the issue that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has directed us to with such importance? Hence, warning serves the purpose of scaring and reminding. It is a wake-up call from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to educate us so that we can protect ourselves from our enemy, Shaitan.